Howdy folks, Jamboree here, and welcome to the Christmas special episode of Film Chums. Joining me is my co-host, Viva Becca.
Hello everybody. Happy holidays. And if you're wondering why my intros are always so terrible, it's because James always cancels the first one that's actually good that I do. So, that would be the reason.
I just go with the take where I sound good.
Yep, and I'm always on take 3 or whatever.
Okay, so as you can notice as well, we are on video for the first time in this show. We've been on video together before for other videos, but this is the first time we've done it for Film Chums, and we're hoping for this to be a permanent thing. I've had a few people requesting, they want us to show our faces, so here we go. So in this podcast, we're going to be discussing the topic of Christmas movie traditions. Now, Viva, what I want to ask you is the first thing I want to know is what is an average Christmas day for you, and what traditions do you always follow? What do you have to do every Christmas?
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock morning start for me.
What?
I mean, that's 2 o'clock, you get up, open some stuff, and then usually spend the day reading whatever books you got, wearing your socks. That's always nice. And if we're talking childhood memories, fighting over the Wii. Who gets the screen time first? I don't know, but it's very exciting to play the Wii right next to the Christmas tree, that's for sure.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. Whenever, the thing is, when it came to console gifts as a kid, I would get a console, my brother would get a console, and we both had our own TV, so it didn't really matter. There was no arguing or fighting. We just opened our presents, then went to our rooms.
Okay, extremely rich, freaking.
We were okay. We were.
High class, freaking.
I guess we were considered maybe middle class. I mean, my mum worked for Sheffield City Council, so. But
both my brother and I had our own console and our own TV and our own rooms.
To be fair, one of the TVs was black and white. So we did save money in areas.
I mean, they were all black and white back then, right?
No! I'm not that old! No, there was basically my mum and dad's room had a black and white old TV in there. I do not know why. That was the case for ages. And I even remember sneaking into there at night to watch South Park in black and white. That was one of my fond childhood memories. Trying not to be caught watching an adult cartoon on a tiny black and white TV. So yeah, what other things are essential for your Christmas day?
Well, for sure not those weird Christmas tree chocolates that we were talking about. That's just very strange.
Let me explain that. Okay,
very strange. Yeah.
Let me.
Okay.
In England, when we have a Christmas tree, we always put Christmas tree chocolates on them, and it's awesome. It's fun because then each day you get to eat a chocolate from the tree. It's fun. It's whimsical, and yeah, I like it. And then when they take the tree down, if there's any Christmas tree chocolates left, my mum would just put them in a bowl, and everyone could help themselves. It was nice. It's
you know
not
what else
weird.
you can put in a bowl? You know what else? Popcorn.
No,
Popcorn.
That's weird. Yeah, popcorn associated with cinema. I can't. You really have to stretch it.
It looks like
sure
snow, doesn't it? It looks like
popcorn
snow, doesn't
is
it?
Christmas. It
really,
snow.
really looks like snow.
What kind of snow do you have in America? Does it rain popcorn at Christmas?
You know, surprisingly, snow is not necessarily part of the Christmas tradition here in Washington State. We don't get snow at Christmas often.
We've not had snow at Christmas for 10 years.
So
we've wished every year. Can we have a white Christmas, please? Every year we've had a terrible year. Can we please have a white Christmas?
I'm just gonna say that popcorn is more like snow than no snow. So
the thing is, for me right now, I don't have a traditional family Christmas. And that's because my dad lives on the other side of England, in Eastbourne, with my sister. My mum and her boyfriend tend to go on holiday at Christmas, but sometimes they stay in Sheffield. And my brother lives in Sri Lanka with his fiancée. So my family's too separated to kind of like get together every year from now on. But I do have family memories when my family was together. So the first thing I remember would be Christmas Eve. Because on Christmas Eve, our family would go to the church in another village. Really, really nice church. And my family was pretty much agnostic, but they liked the idea of sermons. They liked the idea of a community at a church. They liked that, even though they were uncertain about their beliefs. And what I remember from the church was at the end of the sermon, the Reverend would be like, okay, every kid is going to have a part of the nativity set, and they're gonna come up to the stage, and they're gonna put their animal or their character in the nativity set. That was one of my favorite memories. In the evening of Christmas Eve, we would have neighbors coming over to visit and like give presents or come and have a drink, that kind of stuff. I liked that as a kid because we never knew who was going to come at the door. So like it was really nice to see them on Christmas Eve. Added to that feeling of excitement of waiting before bedtime. Yeah, it was really nice. So another thing on Christmas Eve is that my parents would put on the illusion that Santa was going to visit. We had to put newspaper down on the floor for him to walk over, and would leave out carrots outside and milk and cookies inside. Carrots were for the reindeers,
and water.
Of course. Sorry?
Correct. Bucket of water and carrots outside.
Something like that, yeah. So I'd do that, and then in the morning, we'd see footprints on that newspaper to indicate Santa had been. Like that was a nice memory too. Christmas Day, pretty typical. Get up in the morning and would have a stocking, and my mum would have put like so many things in there. Usually be a toothbrush, a Terry's chocolate orange. I don't know do you have Terry's chocolate oranges over there?
Yes, we do. Excellent.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's not Christmas without them, so it's very important. So I had that, and then there would be socks, very nice socks. I didn't wait till 2 a.m. to wear them, but they were there in the stocking. Toblerone in there, chocolate pennies, stuff like that, basically. Have the stocking, and then we'll all go downstairs, and then my parents would be complete nightmares and tease the hell out of us by going, we'll open the presents at some point. I'm going to cook breakfast really slowly, and then after breakfast we might open the presents. They knew. But yeah, so after breakfast we'd open all our presents together as a family. And then after that we'd just play with the presents and watch films. And then we'd have Christmas dinner together with the crackers, with roast dinner. Yeah, really nice. But then at the end of the day, my parents would always do this, to say, oh, we've missed a present. Oh, how did we miss this? And they'd bring down a massive present. And, like, that was the surprise at the end of the day. That was one of my strongest memories. Like, I always knew it was coming. They acted like, oh, no, how did we miss this? But it would be a huge present they would save for last. So that was pretty much my typical Christmas day growing up. So another thing I want to ask is, what's the main thing that gives you the Christmas feeling the most? Like, what triggers it the most?
Socks.
More than anything.
It's something that everybody needs, and you don't really think about how important it is, but the amount of time that your skin spends touching those socks, it's good to invest in good quality socks.
So have you always loved Christmas socks, even since you were a kid, or is it just something you've newly appreciated as an adult getting?
Well, my mind was really brought around to the idea of the Christmas socks after reading Harry Potter, obviously.
Of course.
Okay, to be perfectly honest, what says Christmas to me? I don't know if you have this over there, but Trader Joe's, right after Halloween, they start rolling out all sorts of holiday treats, holiday chocolate and stuff.
Right.
That's like the beginning of the season right there.
I think our Christmas starts halfway through November. Yeah.
Well, that's just sad, isn't it?
It is, but like you can't stop it. Basically, no, it's not even halfway anymore. I've actually noticed that now Christmas starts over here at November. As soon as Halloween is over, the next day all shops just become Christmassy everywhere, and Christmas music goes on. They have started that early now.
We have Christmas stuff before Halloween ends.
I've seen that as well, but like it's usually like tucked away in a corner or something. But like usually nowadays in England, the moment it's November, that's it. It's Christmas now, apparently. We have to accept that.
I think just British stuff seems really Christmassy to me. Old school. Maybe not modern, but old school British kitschy.
Victorian.
Yeah.
That's more than old school. That's historic.
Okay. Well, with all the films that you guys pump out, you might think that it's still happening right now, so. Victorians invented, like, wrapping paper, they invented the Christmas tree, they invented crackers, so a lot of that is Victorian. Well, what do your crackers look like? Because we don't have those over here.
It's hard to explain, because, like, they each have different kinds of patterns. It depends what you're going to get, and sometimes you can get crackers that are based on franchises. So, like, if you want, you could get, like, Power Rangers crackers, or Pokemon crackers or something. Like there's loads of different kinds of crackers, and each one's gonna have something in them that's usually it's just a joke and a Christmas hat and a 10p toy that'll break after 10 seconds. That's the tradition. But there are some Christmas crackers where there's a gimmick involved. I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's a few Christmas crackers that are like they're being a bit more inventive now. But usually, yeah, it's just Christmas hat that like rips in half after a minute, and a Christmas joke that you laugh at for 2 seconds. Yeah.
And you're supposed to have a hat in there.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, you wear a hat, and it rips very easily. Especially if someone has a big head, that's it. You can't wear the hat. You just put it on, and it goes.
So it's like paper.
Yeah, it just
it's like
snaps,
a paper
like,
hat. Interesting.
Personally, what I like to do was just wear all the hats. We always had too many Christmas crackers, and they all had hats, and I was like, right, I'll put this hat. How many hats can I get on my head? That was my game at Christmas dinner. My mum would be like, eat your food. Nope, hat number 7.
Okay, so this is you saying that usually people's heads are too big for the hats, but your head is so small that you can put on every single hat in the Christmas crackers.
Probably. At the same time, I have 2 crowns, so I don't know how I managed to get that many hats on my head. But I did it. I succeeded. Okay, so we've gone through our whole like Christmas traditions and all that jazz. And we need to talk about the thing that I know people have clicked this podcast for the most, and that would be the topic of films that we watch at Christmas. When do you start watching Christmas movies?
I think it depends on what counts as a Christmas movie. I try to phase them in after Thanksgiving. But over here on NBC, they always do the parade, and then they do the dog show, and then they play Miracle on 32nd. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. 34th. So I see that every year, and that's pretty Christmassy. But it does start on Thanksgiving with the parade, so.
Right. Interesting.
This is the old one, by the way. This is not the new one. This is the old one.
So every year that film plays on the same date.
Same time, same day.
That's surreal, because like for us it's a complete surprise. We don't know what film's going to end up on TV. We never know. But I liked that growing up, because every time I get the TV guide, I'd be like, ooh, what we got this year? What and I'd even go through each day and circle the films that I'd want to see on that day. Yeah. So that is a bit surreal that it's the same thing every year, but at the same time I get why that would have a lot of appeal and charm to it. Because like for Christmas Day for us growing up, we didn't know what film would be on Christmas Day, and the worst would be that we would look at the films that would be on Christmas Day, and the whole family would be like, we'd have to look through the DVDs and find a Christmas film we do want to watch. So what do you think of Miracle on 34th Street, seeing as it's one of your traditional Christmas movies?
I like it. I think I've seen the new one, but I don't remember it well enough to give a review on it right now. I think that the really good thing about Miracle on 34th is it's really well suited to have on in the background. Thanksgiving Day, it's kind of around the time when you are wrapping up meal prep. So you're walking in and out, you're carrying stuff to the table, you're laying everything out. You're not really watching it a lot, but it's got little moments that you can turn and just watch for a couple seconds, which is really nice.
No. Yeah, I like those. I like those kind of Christmas films, especially like if you've got the film on in the background and you just want to play with your presents. I like that feeling. That's a nice feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I've not seen the old Miracle on 34th Street. I've seen the remake, but I barely remember it. So I can't really comment on either film if I'm honest. But this is something interesting, actually. Did you grow up with the Rankin Bass Christmas specials? Because like they're not a big deal over here. We have our own animated Christmas specials.
They had them on TV. I think I might have seen them a couple times when I was younger, but it was never a huge favorite of mine. I didn't think that the characters were very attractive. They would play those ones first, and then they would play the Charlie Brown one. So we would usually just watch something else, and then just turn it on for the Charlie Brown one. But I know that they play them a lot, so I'm sure more people have more memories with them.
That's another thing. The Charlie Brown specials, as far as my experience goes, they weren't really put on over here. If they were put on, it was kind of like, oh, wow, okay, you're putting that on, okay. Because, again, we had our own Christmas specials, but they were usually the Christmas special episodes of sitcoms, like Only Fools and Horses or Vicar of Dibley. But, again, our Christmas specials were things like The Snowman, The Creature Comforts, Christmas special, stuff like that, pretty much. But nowadays, every year, there's a new animated special, but it's not associated with Christmas. Stuff like The Gruffalo, there's something about a witch, there's something about a stick. I'm not keeping up with them because I don't have a TV anymore, but like, yeah. And the other Christmas specials we have would be, okay, so in English culture, it is very, very normal for comedians to become children's authors. And the biggest children's author right now is a sketch show comedian called David Walliams. And he's probably made his most success in both like reality show judging and these books. And these books are everywhere. And every year, the BBC would adapt a David Walliams book. I've only seen one of them called Mr. Stink, but yeah, he does one of those every year. So that's a big part of. That's a new one though. That's one I miss out on. All I remember is growing up on The Snowman. That's the main one I remember growing up on.
And The Snowman is like the musical one.
It's the one based on the Raymond Briggs book where it's a boy called James. Who
of course.
happens to have the same name as me. He would basically he built a snowman, and then it comes to life, and he flies with a snowman, and meets other snowmen, and comes back home, and the snowman dies. Christmas! Yay!
Of course. You know, the only thing that I could think of that's more Christmassy than that is a witch, a stick, and Mr. Stink.
That's British Christmas for you. We already know that you watch Miracle on 34th Street every year, but is there a Christmas movie you can't go without each year? Like, you have to watch it every December. It's a must. Without that film, it is not Christmas.
I've got 3 of them.
Okay.
The first 2 are Harry Potter 1 and 2.
Right.
My family watches Harry Potter 1 and 2 every year for Christmas. So, you know, what's more Christmassy than Britain? And what's more British than Harry Potter 1 and 2?
If you saw what Christmas is like in Britain, it's usually just raining and sad. Especially nowadays, it's even worse. But yeah, I understand what you mean, because the first 2 Harry Potter films are there's a heavy emphasis on whimsy, and it's much lighter than the other films.
Well, you know, I think that for a lot of the earlier Harry Potter stories, films, there's always something notable that happens on Christmas.
Oh yeah, there is, isn't there? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because it charts a whole year, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think that besides just the lighter, more kid-oriented feeling of the first 2 films, the Christmas lighting that they have is more of a warm kind of gold light that they go for, whereas in, say, the 4th one, it's a very greeny, kind of gray movie, and for the Christmas lighting, they make it very silver, which is some people's thing, but if you're looking for a warm kind of family Christmas, maybe a gold is a little bit better. And then also, with each different director, they kind of change the aesthetics of the Wizarding World, and Harry Potter 1 and 2's Wizarding World is very Victorian England.
Which is interesting, because I think those are the only ones directed by a Hollywood director as well. And it does show. At Christmas, does American television have Harry Potter marathons? Because ours does. And I think we also have a Harry Potter channel at Christmas. on our Sky Television.
Harry Potter channel, huh?
We have a whole channel dedicated to Harry Potter movies. So basically, 24/7, all 8 or 9 films just looped on repeat for ages.
Well, it seems a little conceited for British people to have a Harry Potter channel, don't you think?
It's just at Christmas. I think they have like making of documentaries in between them as well, but it is pretty much just Harry Potter 24/7. That's how much Harry Potter is associated with Christmas over here.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they might have Harry Potter marathons over here. But, you know, they really pull out the Harry Potter marathons for anything. So, it's not just around Christmas. They're going to have one over the summer as well. So,
one of mine would be, and I don't know if you've seen this, but there is a 1998 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie that's hand-drawn from Good Times Entertainment. Have you heard of it?
Maybe. It sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know.
Okay, so with this film, I have a lot of nostalgic attachment to it, and I remember watching it at school. I remember watching it at the after-school Christian club I went to as a kid. Yes, I used to be Christian, so I have a lot of memories associated with the film. Revisiting it, it's not great. And when I reviewed it, I did give a pretty harsh review. But revisiting it, besides having pretty cheap animation for a theatrical release, it does look like a television episode or something straight to video. It's fine. On the one hand, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, it's better than I remember. On the other hand, I'm like, but I really enjoyed it because I thought it was really bad. There are some things that are kind of unintentionally hilarious, like the amateur animation where sometimes you can't tell what face a character wants to pull. It's really confusing. So sometimes you can have like some really weird, awkward shots. And there's sometimes that, for me, the funniest would be the singing doubles. particularly
Great.
for Rudolph himself, because Rudolph has this typical Western teenage boy kind of voice. Okay?
Do the voice.
Golly gosh, hi, how are you? I'm Rudolph. But then when he sings, he sounds like someone out of the Backstreet Boys. He's like, oh, I'm on my adventure. I better have a musical number now. Da 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 da. It kills me every time. And I don't get how the makers didn't realise that jolt between the voices. And for some reason, they also make Whoopi Goldberg have a singing double, even though she apparently can sing. And you can tell it's not Whoopi Goldberg. But that's, speaking of Whoopi, that is one of its strengths, is its, like, big cast. You can tell most of the money went towards getting celebrity voices. You've got John Goodman as Santa. Perfect. You've got Whoopi Goldberg as the sassy villain. Also perfect. You've got Kathleen Barr as Rudolph. Who else is there? They've got Eric Idle, but he's doing some kind of like Brooklyn accent. I don't know why you would ask the most cockney actor in the industry to come all the way to Hollywood and do a Brooklyn accent, but he does it. And sometimes his cockney will slip out as well.
Great.
But like, yeah, the all-star cast is one of its major things. Oh, and it's got Bob Newhart as well, who has like the most adorable voice ever. But like, yeah, it looks very cheap, but for the most part, it means well and it does try. So there's a lot of things I do regret pretty much saying in my review of it, because it teaches lessons about truth, self-confidence, mercy, accepting others for who they are. Yeah, it's all done in a very after-school special sort of way, but they get the messages across fine. It's nice, it's cute. It's for the most part, it's pretty harmless. My only like problem with it, looking back now, because I did have a problem with how they handled Rudolph's dad, but looking back, I was like, okay, no, they managed to patch that up fine. But my issue is that at the end of the film, Rudolph saves Stormella the villain, and he's allowed to have a wish. Sorry?
And they kiss.
No. That would be even weird. That would be weird, but like, I have a big problem with this, maybe. So what they actually do is, Rudolph is allowed to have a wish because he saved Stormella, and he wishes for her to be nice. And so she uses her magic to turn herself nice. And I don't like that, because that's borderline Clockwork Orange. That's like, we're going to force the villain to be nice. They're not going to develop on their own merits. They're just going to magically become nice. I'm like, no! Because it was annoying, because like, when I revisited it, I was like, right, okay, this is better than I thought. There's a lot of stuff that actually works. I was a bit too mean to this movie. And then they did that, and I'm like, no! I was about to forgive you.
Yeah, he could have had a better wish than that.
Oh, I get what they were going for with that wish. I know what they were trying to do with that wish. This idea that Rudolph is being selfless. He's not wishing for something of his own. He's wishing for something for someone else. But he could have done it. He could have wished for some. I don't know. I guess if he were to improve it, instead of granting him a wish, just have Stormella realize, oh, you saved me. Wow, I'm really grateful for that. There's some merit to being good. Like, you make people feel good. Like, that's enough. That would have been fine. The whole wishing to be nice thing, that's just... That borders on, yeah, just creepy, kind of like, I don't like it. So, that's a film I've tended to watch every year, but this year, I've reevaluated it and thought, actually, it's no longer a guilty pleasure. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. Besides the resolution for the villain, it's fine. It's no masterpiece, but it's acceptable entertainment.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us on another episode of James Decides That He's Fine with Swimming Through Schlock.
I am just wanting to be fair. And here's my question to you, because going into this podcast, I thought that was going to be my choice for, like, that's one of the worst Christmas films I've seen, and no, I don't think that anymore. So, to you, what is the worst Christmas movie you've seen?
Christmas Tree. The Christmas Tree.
I knew you were going to say that. You've actually watched it.
Yes, and
you knew it was
I gotta
bad.
say, it's not as fun as you might think it is. Watching reviews of it, it's well, there's some things that are pretty funny, but like when you actually sit down to watch it, it's kind of boring.
Well, that's the thing, because reviewers have had to abridge everything down. You're gonna have all the awkwardness to sit through.
You always win when you are good.
I'm kind of divided if I want to see it, because on the one hand I'm like, okay, I probably need to see this because it's considered the worst Christmas special ever, and I do like unintentionally unintentionally funny things. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, I want to use my time wisely, so I have no idea. Do you think it's worth checking out just for the laughs?
No. Not at all. I would say watch a review where they get all the laughs.
Yeah.
They clip them down and then they help to enhance them by making their own jokes on top, because it's not really worth it to just watch the movie.
That's the interesting thing about Christmas, is that you can end up still seeing a bunch of Christmas films just through reviews. Just get the same feels through the reviews, and you save time by doing that. Oh, being an adult just results in these kinds of compromises. Compromises I don't want. I'd rather spend a lot of this month just marathoning Christmas films, but I don't have time. Most of the Christmas films I've been watching are for content like this. Okay, so I don't really have... There's not really any Christmas films I've watched and I'm like, oh, this is just awful. And I would consider it the worst ever.
You've seen Belle's Enchanted Christmas, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd say...
That's a stinker.
That's pretty bad. Pretty bad. But, on the other hand, it's got Tim Curry, and it does have a very Christmassy atmosphere. It's a terrible film, but, like, there's stuff there to compensate for it. I'd say, objectively, it is possibly the worst I've seen. But I can't force myself to hate it as much as everyone else, because, again, from a Christmas perspective, it has its entertainment value. So, yeah, I can kind of look over it in some ways, even though there is a lot of stuff in that that's incredibly awful and problematic. So, another film I've only recently started watching every Christmas would be Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I think I first saw this maybe 2017, 2018. So again, this is a very new tradition for me. And this is it's a Disney straight-to-video film, but hang on. Hang on.
Okay.
Even though it is that, but for what it is, it's pretty good. And like when I watch it, I do get the Christmas feels. For those of you who don't know, it's pretty much 3 different Christmas stories. A couple of them are based on actual books and short stories. And each of them star a Disney brand character like Donald, Goofy, and Mickey. And they're pretty good. They're pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, the film doesn't do anything that other Christmas films have done before, but the execution and delivery deserves a lot of credit, especially when this is a straight-to-video production. Like, going into this, you could have your expectations so damn low, and you could come out and be like, oh, okay, do it by surprise, okay. So the 3 stories, okay, no, first of all, one of the things I really do like is that it has a wraparound involving a Christmas tree and presents under it, and the narrator, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, who has the really lovely, soothing voice, so perfect for like a narration storyteller. He goes through each present and has a story for each present, and the first story is Christmas Every Day. It's pretty much about what if Louie, Dewey, and Huey wished that it was Christmas every single day, and yeah, it's mainly played for laughs, but there's also some very existential moments where the 3 ducks are like... what we got ourselves into. This is our life now. Like they are kind of lamenting on what position they're in, and I kind of like that. And I do feel sorry for Donald Duck, because throughout the special, all he wants is just a good family Christmas, and these 3 kids are making it so difficult for him. But the film isn't shaming the ducks, though. Not saying like, oh, these ducks are just they're awful. They're just being kids, and they need to learn better, and the special's about them learning to get better. And they do grow on their own as well. They do learn on their own. Because a lot of these kinds of things, the character will find out, oh, I've got to be nice today, and then it'll stop being Christmas every day. But with this one, they have one of their Christmas days where they just troll the entire family, and it's just an awful result. And so they think, I don't want to do that again. That was horrible. So the next day, like, we're just gonna have a perfect Christmas family, and it just happens to end the curse. I like that. And then the next one is A Very Goofy Christmas, and as you know, I love Goofy. So that's me sold already. But that one's interesting too, because it's about Max questioning his belief in Santa. It's very much a crisis of faith kind of story. But what I like about that is that they share that together, because Goofy also starts to question his belief in Santa, and it makes sense that Goofy would still believe in Santa as an adult, because he's an optimist. He's never going to stop believing in the best of things, so it makes sense. And then the last one is A Gift of the Magi, I think it is, and that one's pretty good as well. It's surprisingly anti-corporate and asks us to sympathize with working class characters. I find it incredibly relatable because of that, because it shames corrupt business practices and underpaying employees, but my favorite thing about it is like a real lovely ending, because basically in this one, Mickey and Minnie are struggling financially, but they want to get each other specific Christmas gifts, and in order to do that, they have to sell something of their own. And the Christmas gifts they're getting each other require those things they're selling. And by the end, they're like, "Look, I've got this case for your harmonica." And Mickey's like, "I had to sell the harmonica to get my present for you, which is a chain for your watch." And most specials would end by going, "Oh, we have to solve this quick. We have to get back our stuff." And no, it just ends there. It just finishes there, and they're kind of like, "No, that's enough for me. The fact that you sold this for me to make me happy, that's enough for me." And it just ends, and then it cuts back to Kelsey Grammer narrating a whimsical Christmas tree, magic flying everywhere, but that was all about love. That's the message of this special, love. And I'm like, it's just nice. It's just a nice, well-made film that's surprisingly good for something straight to video. Yeah, it's cute. So are there any? Do you have any new Christmas movie traditions? Like what a Christmas movie you've watched as an adult, and from then on it's like, okay, from now on I'm going to watch this every year?
Yes, and it is one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
I don't know which one it is.
You know what it is, and I know that you get to explain to everyone why you don't like it.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I never said I love it. I gave it 5 stars in my review. I love it. All I said to you was that it is not a Christmas tradition for me to watch it.
Okay. Listen.
And I think, to be fair, okay, tell them what it is first.
Okay, the movie is Arthur Christmas, and James says that this movie that literally has 4 Santa Clauses in it, and the main character is frickin' Santa Claus, does not give Christmas feels.
Okay, to be fair, let me explain why. And this is going to tie everything together when it comes to why the films I've chosen for this video, why they're there, why I watch them every year. Mm-hmm. The film needs to have some kind of special memory attached to it. Okay, every film I'm doing here that I'm bringing up, I have a nice memory. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, I think I watched that during my breakup, and it helped me get through my breakup. So, like, yeah, that's emotional attachment there. Rudolph, again, used to watch it at Christmas time at school or at the after-school Christian club. Lovely memories. So, again, there needs to be some kind of memory attached to it. I don't remember when I first watched Arthur Christmas. And I remember the second time I watched it, I had to watch it for a review in my tiny room that I live in. So, like, there's no special memories attached to it. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I'm not saying it's not Christmassy. I'm saying, personally, from a subjective position, I don't have those feels because I don't have those memories attached to the film.
Well, now you have a memory attached to it.
Sorry?
Now you have a memory. You have the memory of me berating you for not liking it.
I do like it! I gave it 5 stars! I love this film. I love Arthur Christmas. Okay, I really do love Arthur Christmas. It's a fantastic adventure. Like, the whole film is about these characters going across like half the globe. And like, one of my problems with adventure stories is that they go to like someone else's house and then the story's over or something. Like, I like adventure stories where they go to lots of different places. Then it feels like an adventure. So that's one of the things I really love about that film. Obviously, there's other things I love about it, obviously. But, like, that's one. Okay, so what do you love about it?
Good writing, good voice performances.
Well, yeah, some of our best actors are in it.
I do wish that it looked a little bit nicer, but I'm not a big fan of Aardman's animation style.
You know what? I'd have a green screen behind me with like a British flag and be just like Aardman is our Disney. Keep composed. So like my number one favorite, okay, it's hard to say a number one favorite thing about Arthur Christmas, but a couple would be I like that it has very relatable themes of feeling useless and the topic of mortality, which is heavily associated with the experiences that senior citizens go through. And the thing is, there's not many animated films directly for old people, for that generation. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about Arthur Christmas, is that it's for an older crowd, but it can also be enjoyed by the rest of the family. A lot of it is mainly speaking, particularly through the Grand Santa, to elderly citizens. And I really appreciate that. I like that. It's nice, because usually when you have an old character in something like this, they're the comic relief or something, or whatever. I also like that it has a really fair debate on old versus new and science versus magic. It looks at the pros and the cons, and then it finds a good compromise to like embody both of those things together. I like that. I really like that. But obviously the best thing about it is Arthur Christmas. He's friggin' adorable. He is the heart of the film. It's just got so much passion for Christmas. Yeah, he's naive. Yeah, he's clumsy, but like he's just so lovely. See, what else do you like about Arthur Christmas? And here's a question: at what point in the film do the Christmas feels kick in?
When the elves are breaking and entering to deliver all the presents at the beginning.
Yeah,
I think the great thing about that, what I really like about that, is that it's not kind of like the Christmas mythology that we have over here that's very focused around like the 50s America, maybe like middle class kind of. I mean, a lot of our Christmas movies and Christmas thinking is like around this kind of like perfect family house, whatever. In that scene, they have houses that are all around the world, and they have all sorts of different setups. But they all have like similar things tying it together that are, but that go with the area that the house is in. And I like that it shows different ideas of like, this is what all these different this is how all these different families decided to decorate their house.
Yeah. I can see why the feels would kick in there. The thing that's great about Arthur Christmas is that it shows this family that's at Christmas they've got their own problems. And I think it's really important to show that not every family's Christmas is picture perfect. And the tension will build up as soon as everyone gets together at the table. Like that can happen. And that's a part of British culture in general, to be honest, because the common assumption based on media that depicts Britain from media that has never been to Britain is that everything is very sophisticated and perfect and pretty and stuff like that. But when we make a film, we point out how everything is. One of our most common we actually have a genre called the kitchen sink genre, which basically means it's all about it's usually about working class families struggling. That's pretty much I'm probably like under explaining it, but that's pretty much in a nutshell what it is. And that's kind of what Arthur Christmas is like. It's like a lot of our other British family movies. Like most of our Christmas specials, of sitcoms, and our movies in general are just about families struggling in Britain. So yeah, and I know Arthur Christmas is set on the North Pole, so I get that too. Okay, so this is one I know that I confessed to last time we spoke, and you were like, why? But like, okay. Elf. For those of you who don't know, I saw that face! For those who don't know, Elf is about a man who grew up as an elf in Santa's workshop who discovers his real dad and goes to New York. Now, I'm not saying that this is a great movie. I'm really not. I mean, like, the whole book company plotline isn't interesting to me. I get it. I get its important place in the story, but we've seen this plot a million times before. It's kind of like every family comedy is contracted to have the workaholic dad story in there somewhere. But I do like how the dad finds a resolution to balancing his work and his family by the end, instead of an ending where he's just unemployed and that's supposed to be good. But I like that, and I will. But at the same time, I'll admit, the revisiting Elf recently, I noticed how Buddy clearly needs therapy more than anything, and you do need to look past his questionable mental health issues in order to enjoy the film. I get that we're not meant to take his antics too seriously, but I couldn't help noticing how much the film sugarcoats his regression into a childlike state. It's a bit weird. It's strange. It's one of those family films that's quite questionable when you really think about what's happening under the surface. Films like Big or Mrs. Doubtfire. So yeah, I get the problems. I understand them. I'm not naively going to sit here and be like, it's a masterpiece. Everything about it is 100% perfect. For me, through a Christmas lensed filter, I find myself quite enjoying the festive spirit of this film, mainly because of Will Ferrell's performance. I think he does a terrific job capturing the nuances and traits of a real child. A lot of the movie's appeal comes from his charismatic energy and wholesomeness, and even though it's a very over-the-top performance at times, there's some method to the madness. And I noticed small details this time in his acting that are very observant of children's behaviour. I get that he's not for everyone. I understand that he can be a bit much, but like I like what Will is going for. So why do you hate it?
To be fair, I don't think I've seen the movie all the way through. I've seen it in parts. I've seen the first part a couple times separately, and I've seen the last part a couple times separately. What can I say? I mean, it just doesn't really grab my attention.
Right.
But I mean, I agree that it has a lot of Christmas icons in it. The joke most of the time is, look, Will Ferrell is yelling. Will Ferrell's yelling. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Will Ferrell says, Christmas!
Again, I get why Buddy himself could be frustrating, and it is, a lot of his character is just one joke. It is just the one joke of, he acts like a kid. And that's it. That's pretty much the joke of his character, but at the same time, he has his endearing moments, and he has this soft side.
So what is it about the movie that makes it stand out to you? Is it just the performance? Because if we count down the tropes of the movie, it's not really a very unique concept.
It's not,
I mean, you've already said you have the workaholic dad, you have the child who's too mature and has to learn to loosen up by controlling his new, like, magical zany friend. You have the rush to save Christmas by believing, and you have man-child gets the pretty girl. Those are pretty common.
Yeah. Yes, it does have nearly every single trope of a Christmas movie and of family movies in general. But again, this ties in to my recurring reason why these films are special to me at Christmas. I watched this film. Okay. So, and I know you're gonna pull the you're rich card again, because I'm not.
Oh my god.
I live in a pub attic, but at my university we had our own private cinema. Okay, and our tutor would often play movies in this cinema. Usually weren't even anything to do with our course, and one of them was Elf. And I remember him explaining the behind the scenes at the beginning, and just watching this film with all my classmates and just having a good time. And like that feeling's attached to this film because of that. I also like how the beginning of the film pays tribute to Rankin Bass. Like the whole aesthetics of the North Pole is just pure Rankin Bass, and there's a lot of love to those films in those opening scenes. Heck, I would say that the opening of the movie is the best part of the film, objectively.
But you said you didn't even grow up with those movies, the Rankin Bass movies.
I didn't, but I watched this at a time when I had seen Rankin Bass. This is when I was at university, so I got what the aesthetics were supposed to be. It does a really good job recapturing that. And the thing is, here's another reason why my appreciation for it has grown even more recently. So Netflix have recently released a show called Holiday Movies That Made Us, where they go through the behind the scenes of Christmas movies. And one of the films they did was Elf. And what I really loved about the story of how this film was made was how much of an underdog tale it was. Like, nearly everyone that was coming up with the idea for this film was someone that had no experience in the film industry and was trying to break in. And I really liked that. And throughout that documentary, there were just little details they pointed out in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's kind of charming. And then when I rewatched it for this podcast, I was like, oh yeah, I can see it now. So like, yeah, that's another thing that's made me have a bit of a soft spot for it, to be honest. That's kind of helped.
So would you say that even though it's a very tropey movie, all the tropes that it brings in helps to kind of remind you of the good memories that you've had watching all sorts of holiday movies, and also the execution of the tropes is so heartfelt that you're like, I'll accept it here.
Yes, and mainly because of how wholesome Buddy's character is. I think the thing is, yes, I get people's problems with Will Ferrell's Buddy, but I can't imagine anyone else trying to make it work like he did. Especially when there is an animated special remake of it with Jim Parsons providing the voice of Buddy, and it just doesn't work. I feel like with a character like this, you need to go pretty over the top and pretty borderline obnoxious. That's the point of the character. And I feel like that Will Ferrell is just a major reason why the film works, and most other things just don't work. I feel like he's the only thing keeping that film afloat, because everything else is pretty boring. Okay, so this was a must. This was a must for me to bring up. I had to. And you probably know what it even is.
Okay.
It is... Oh, no. Okay, the thing is... Okay, let me explain. Right. So, I have two favourite Christmas movies. One of them is Tokyo Godfathers, which is an anime film about three homeless people helping a baby get back to its parents. And the other is A Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, I love Tokyo Godfathers, but it is so bleak and so dark that I can't watch it every Christmas. I tend to watch it outside of Christmas because at Christmas time I like to watch the most fluffiest and lightest of stuff. So I tend to go for A Muppet Christmas Carol, which is possibly my second favourite Christmas movie, and I adore this film so much. I know that's unsurprising for a Muppets fan, but I do. I love it so friggin' much. I just adore it. I like how the Muppets slide naturally into their Dickensian roles, and Jim Henson's teachings of love fits a book like A Christmas Carol, which is all about empathy, particularly for those in poverty. I like that the Muppets bring their wacky humour into the story, but they also respect the material, and they take the more somber scenes seriously. And they'll make you laugh one second, and then you'll be crying the next. And that's how much range they have, even though they're silly puppets. Yeah, I love it. I adore it, and I'm guessing you hate it.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen any Muppets movies.
Right, we're changing that. At one point, We're going to have a marathon of both Muppets Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. We're going to do it. You subjected me to the Barbie movies, so it's my turn.
I know there's a lot of people watching that really want me to see Muppet movies. I've heard them. I just have not gotten around to watching them.
Muppets Christmas Carol is essential viewing at Christmas. And here's why.
Okay.
Well, I've basically explained most of the reason why. But I also love how Gonzo is this amazing storyteller. And he bounces off Rizzo really, really well. And it's really funny watching them narrate the story because they're having to keep up with the characters throughout the movie. It's hilarious. I love how creative the ideas for the ghosts are. Like, each ghost is a puppet, but it's a really ambitious kind of puppet. Like, the first one is this floaty, transparent puppet. You can barely tell that it is a puppet. It's a beautiful puppet. And then the second one is like this huge, massive puppet. And then the third one is like this, an equally big one with like a cloak over and you can't see his face. It's all communicating with just his arms. It's amazing. And I love Michael King's performance as Scrooge. He perfects both the hard, cold side of Scrooge and the soft, insecure side as well. Like, oh, he's so good. But obviously my favourite thing about it as a puppeteer is the puppetry. All the puppetry is just fan-freaking-tastic. So damn good.
This was the first Muppet movie where they used keying to hide the puppeteers, right?
I think it was, yeah. Because most of the time it was just like practical effects. But there are so many little details in Muppet Christmas Carol where you're kind of like, whoa, how did they do that with puppetry? How the hell did they do that? There's like a shot where Kermit locks a door, and like, that shouldn't be impressive, but it is, because how do you do that? And you look at that shot again and again, and like, how are they doing it? How? How many takes did that take to do? And there's a shot where Kermit blows out a candle. How the do you do that? How do you do that? The timing and the effects required, that's insane. I know they're tiny little things, but like, they add so much to the charm of the puppetry because of that. And Brian Henson is an underrated filmmaker. And I'm not saying that because he's the son of Jim Henson. He's more than that. He truly is an amazing puppet filmmaker. The way that he can block stuff out, like the puppets and the live actors, how he makes that work is insanely good. And there's so many breathtaking shots in that film. So many amazing shots in that film. And it just baffles me that Hollywood's not like, oh, we have a really talented filmmaker, maybe we should give him more work. No, they don't. They don't. And they give him films like Happy Time Murders and stuff like that. Like, he should be making way more stuff. He's an amazing filmmaker. So yeah, Muppet's Christmas Carol, greatest Christmas film ever made. That's a fact.
Sounds like a very impressive feat of practical effects.
It is, but at the same time, it's also a really well-told story. And some people have even argued that it's one of the best adaptations of the story. And like, I love how, even though it has, even though it's technically mainly a comedy, at the same time it has these dramatic moments that take huge risks and huge chances, knowing that their audience will be young. Like there's a bit of controversy around this, and this is being brought up again. But there's a song in the movie that like pretty much explains Scrooge's character and where his business comes from, and it's a beautiful song. But Jeffrey Katzenberg, Disney CEO, was like, "It's gonna make kids sad. Let's take it out." And then the film didn't make sense anymore and lost so much. And then recently, people are like, hang on, we found this song, it belongs in the film. That song belongs in the film, it's supposed to be in the film, it is part of the film. It misses so much.
Are you talking about When Love Is Lost?
Yes, it is, yeah. All the songs are amazing. They're all done by Paul Williams, who's like, he makes the catchiest songs ever. And like every song is just great. I love One More Sleep Till Christmas because it just embodies Christmas Eve. That's Christmas Eve to me. That feeling. And there's another one that's Everywhere It Feels Like Christmas or something, sung by the Ghost of Christmas Present. And that song is just so joyful, and it's all about Christmas Day. Oh, I just love it. I love Muppet's Christmas Carol with all my heart. Right, so I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. It's been interesting talking about the films that we watch every year, and I find it very fascinating learning the American perspective from Viva as well, and her weird popcorn tradition.
Oh my gosh.
What we'd love to know is what are the Christmas movies you have to watch every year? Let us know in the comments section. And Merry Christmas, by the way. Hope you have a very, very nice, lovely Christmas. And I know it's really hard to do at the time right now, but like, my only advice would be make your Christmas the best it can be. Like, work with what you got, and somehow you'll find the Christmas feeling.
Extra time to watch Christmas movies.
Yes, yeah. I'd say that is important. Like, really spare time for let yourself indulge. Okay, let yourself indulge. And watch.
It might even be a nicer experience than watching them at the Christmas party with your family. I don't know about you, but my family's really mouthy, and if you're at my family Christmas party, you're not going to hear much of the Christmas movie. So it might even be better this year.
See, I'm spending my Christmas day. I'm going to be watching a couple of 2020 films for a video, and then I'm hosting a 5-hour, maybe even 6-hour live stream on Twitch for anyone that feels lonely on Christmas Day. So like, if you feel like if you're suffering under the restrictions right now because of the pandemic, and your biggest worry is feeling lonely or feeling bored on that day, my Twitch stream is just pretty much there, and I've got so much planned for it. Got gingerbread house making, decorating trees, quiz, games. I'll be reading A Christmas Carol live. I'll be showing public domain cartoons. So yeah, just know it's there. You don't have to come, but if you want company and you want a bit of Christmas fun, the stream's there.
Merry Christmas.
That was a very intense look just then. Merry Christmas.
That's my...
Hope you sleep well.
That's my command, yes.
I'll be coming down your chimney.
I'll be making sure that you have a very Merry Christmas.
It's terrifying. Oh no. Yeah. I hope you enjoy your Christmas, everyone. Merriments abound, and I have just started drinking, so...